Prior to this, Claire was held in connection with the murder of Malva Christie. When Roger found out Brianna was pregnant, he was given the position of preaching official. Claire is depicted being hanged in front of a large crowd in the opening sequence of the first episode after Tom told her that her husband was still alive and she promised not to leave town. Jamie promises to find Claire and reassures Ian that he thinks she is still alive. Mrs. Maisie Tolliver, the sheriff's wife, is in charge of the jail where Claire is being detained. Claire is told that she would get one meal each day and that Mrs. Oliver will bring her a basin to wash in once a day. Mrs. Oliver says she is unable to connect Claire with her family, despite her desire to do so. Sadie, they are informed by a different cellmate that the courts are closed, there is commotion in the streets, and the rebels have made life difficult for any loyal people. Her cellmate admits to forgery, she has been detained for a month without being put on trial, and she is aware that Claire murdered Malva. If the courts are closed down for a long time, Claire worries that she will be left behind in jail without assistance. Since the soldiers would need a lot of prayer and intercession as they prepare to head north, Reverend Macmillan asks Roger to minister to them. The soldiers rejected Roger, emphasizing that the Bible texts won't be of assistance. Wendigo Donner, who just so happens to be there, hears Roger say, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and God will surely go with thee," and since he, too, is a traveler, he recognizes the Muhammad Ali quote. Roger realizes he was a part of Lionel Brown's team. 5 of them reached the stones at Ocracoke, but after they passed through, they got separated, and he was never able to find them again. Wendigo maintains he didn't hurt Claire and that all he needed to help the Indian tribes was a gemstone to travel back in time. Tate comes to the prison looking for a healer. Sadie makes the murdering accusation to give Claire the chance to leave, and then Jamie and Ian arrive. Mr. Christie informs them that Claire has left. Mrs. Tolliver explains to Jamie that her husband had to remove his wife in order to fulfill a responsibility to the king. While on board the HMS Cruiser, Claire was changed into the pregnant Mrs. Martin, the ship's surgeon, and Mr. Martin, the governor. When Mrs. Martin learned Claire was the homicidal apparition, she had been throwing up all night and was sweating through the blankets. Claire prepares some ginger tea because it will help with the nose yarn. After losing her first 3 children, Mrs. Martin asserts that she would rather die than run the danger of losing a 4th and upsetting her husband. Roger will help Wendigo Donner, which Brianna is well aware of. Roger is convinced that he didn't hurt Claire, despite her attempts to persuade him otherwise. Roger argues that he was only trying to survive when Brianna points out that he did nothing as her mother was savagely attacked. Tate orders Martin to send glowing squads to shore and retake Fort Johnston, but tells him not to attack when it is misty. Martin is aware that the Redcoats will put him to death before the rebels. Although Martin's wife's condition has significantly improved, she still requires a few more supplies, thus Wilmington is where she should go. Tate instructs him to go to the north for the safety of his family because the rebels are considerably more numerous and well-armed than initially thought. Martin agrees to send a courier to get whatever supplies his wife requires before they set sail, but refuses to allow his wife leave the ship. MacDonald informs Martin that they have lost Johnston Fort. Jamie and Ian decided to inquire about the whereabouts of the sheriff and the place to which he was transporting Claire from the Redcoats at the brothel. Jamie then notices Richard Brown's horse. MacDonald tells Martin outside that Claire is Jamie's wife and that she has been taken into custody on suspicion of murder. Tate hands him Claire's list and instructs him to bring everything to the harbor. He will then wait for him and carry anything he takes back to the ship by boat. Tom recognizes Claire's appeal in the note for him to locate her spouse. Claire reassures Martin that she is innocent and that she tried her best to save the unborn child. Claire also vows to Martin's spouse and the unborn child. Tom tells Jamie that after he found his wife, she requested him to visit her. As Jamie arrives at the ship in a boat, Claire sees the couple reuniting and sharing a kiss. Because Martin doesn't care about the throne, he refuses Jamie's request to allow him take Claire home. Before releasing his wife to him, Martin requires that he gather 200 men, report to Major MacDonald, and pledge his soldiers to his campaign. Roger assures Brianna that he will pray for Wendigo, while Ian cautions Jamie that he will never be able to assemble 200 soldiers. Ian is told by Jamie to go back to the Rage since he doesn't want him to become involved. Jamie promises to go back to the ship and take care of whatever needs to be done. After informing Jamie that he's heading to the cruiser to confess to the governor, Tom wonders what Jamie would say during his eulogy. Without success, Jamie makes an attempt to dissuade him. Jamie replies that he would. Tom was a man he respected despite their differences, despite the fact that he was a respectable Scot and a leader of men in his own right. Claire finds out that Tom has come to confess to killing his daughter when they first meet. Malva was a witch like her mother, in his opinion. He also admits that Mona lured him and made him fall in love with her when he was caring for his wife and young son Alan. In the end, his wife was executed by hanging for killing his brother. Malva shared with her mother the same cunning charm and blackness of soul, he continues, which is why he says he killed her. Tom confesses his feelings for Claire while disobeying her advice to stop wasting his life. When Claire and Jamie rekindle their relationship, she tells him that she doesn't think Tom killed Malvar and that the two think Brown killed her. Jamie walks into Richard Brown's room after earlier spotting his horse. Jamie is warned by Richard that if he hurts him, his skin will come after him. Jamie confesses that with the help of his Cherokee friends, he dispatched his nephew to pay a visit to his family. Richard does not think that Jamie will kill him in cold blood, but Jamie insists that he is a violent person and that the only reason he is nice is because of Claire, whom he tried to drive out of his life. Jamie hits Brown as the show draws to an end.